The Galactic Observation Network had watched Earth for 300 years. Every species in the galaxy knew about humans. They were impossible to ignore. Humans sent radio signals into space. They broadcast music and news and arguments. They shouted into the void like children screaming for attention. The Watchers called them the Screaming Ones because they never stopped making noise. Admiral had spent 40 years studying these strange creatures. She commanded the Hegemony Defense Fleet, the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. Her species had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had crushed rebellions and wiped out entire civilizations. Nothing scared them anymore. But was scared now. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at the display screen. The readings made no sense. Earth was silent, completely silent. No radio waves, no television signals, no satellite communications. Nothing. Her second-in-command checked the sensors again and again. His 4 arms moved quickly across the control panel. His face showed the same fear that felt in her chest. "This is not possible," he said. "Humans never stop talking. Their entire planet is covered in communication devices. They argue about everything. They share everything. They cannot stay quiet." "How long has it been?" asked. 72 standard hours, 3 of their days. Closed her eyes. She remembered the first time she had studied human history. She had read about their wars, their disasters, their suffering. Any other species would have died 100 times over, but humans survived. They always survived, and every time someone tried to destroy them, they came back stronger. She remembered one document in particular. It described something called the Manhattan Project. During one of their great wars, humans had gone quiet. They had hidden their scientists in secret locations. They had stopped all communications about a special project. And when they finally spoke again, they had created a weapon that could destroy entire cities with a single blast. When humans went quiet, they were building something terrible. "Contact the Galactic Council," ordered. "Emergency priority. Tell them to evacuate the border systems immediately." Hesitated. "Admiral, the Council will not listen. They think humans are primitive. They approved the attack on Earth because they believed humans were no threat." "Send the message anyway." The attack on Earth had happened 6 months ago. The hegemony had decided that humans were expanding too fast. They were colonizing too many planets. They were developing technology too quickly. The High Council had voted to reduce the human problem before it became uncontrollable. They had sent a fleet to Earth. They had destroyed the Pacific Fleet in orbit. They had fired on major cities: Seoul, Tokyo, Sydney, San Francisco. 12 million people had died in the first hour. The humans had surrendered within a day. The hegemony had declared victory. They had placed restrictions on human space travel. They had demanded resources and technology. They had called humans manageable pests and laughed about how easy the conquest had been. Now Earth was silent and knew they had made a terrible mistake. The response from the Galactic Council came within an hour. Ambassador appeared on the screen. He was a species known for their arrogance and their cruelty. He had been one of the loudest voices calling for the attack on Earth. "Admiral," he said with a smile that showed too many teeth, "I received your message. I must say it was quite amusing." "This is not a joke, Ambassador. Earth has gone completely silent. No signals of any kind. This has never happened before in 300 years of observation. Perhaps they finally destroyed themselves. Humans are violent creatures. It was only a matter of time before they turned on each other. You do not understand. Humans do not go quiet unless they are planning something. I have studied them for decades. When they stop talking, they start building. We need to evacuate the border systems now." Laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You are being paranoid, Admiral. Humans are primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Whatever they are building, our shields will stop it. Our weapons will destroy it. They learned their lesson 6 months ago. They will not challenge us again. Felt anger rising in her chest. I am sending you a file, human historical document. Read the section about the Manhattan Project. Read about what happened when humans went quiet during their Second World War. I do not have time for human history lessons. Then make time, because if I am right, every world in hegemony space is in danger. Smile faded slightly. You are serious. I have never been more serious about anything in my life. Very well, I will read your file, but I will not evacuate anything based on your paranoid theories. The council will not approve it. The screen went dark, stood alone on the bridge, staring at the empty space where Earth should have been sending signals. The silence felt heavy, like a weight pressing down on her shoulders. Approached carefully, Admiral, what do we do? We prepare. We move our fleet to the edge of hegemony space. We get as far away from the border as possible. The council will call it desertion. Let them. I would rather be called a coward than be dead. She turned back to the display. Somewhere on that silent planet, humans were working. They were building. They were planning. And when they finally spoke again, knew the galaxy would never be the same. She had read their history. She had seen what they were capable of. They had split atoms and walked on their moon and survived disasters that would have ended any other species. They did not fight wars to win. They fought wars to make sure their enemies could never threaten them again. The hegemony had killed 12 million humans and called it a victory. Suspected they had only made the humans angry. 3 kilometers beneath the mountains of the Korean peninsula, Dr. Park had not seen sunlight in 6 months. She lived in a world of metal walls and artificial lights. She ate protein paste and drank recycled water. She slept 4 hours a night and worked the other 20. Around her, 3,000 scientists moved in perfect silence. No one spoke unless necessary. No phones. No computers connected to the outside world. No communications of any kind. The bunker was completely cut off from everything above. This was Project. The word meant silence in the old Korean language. It was the most secret project in human history. Stood in front of the main display, watching the final calculations scroll across the screen. Her hands were shaking. They had been shaking for weeks. She could not make them stop. Beside her, Doctor typed commands into the system. He was younger than her, only 35 years old, but his hair had turned in the past 6 months. His eyes looked empty, like someone had removed everything inside him and left only the shell. He had lost his entire family on the first day of the invasion. His wife, his 2 daughters, his parents, his sister and her children, gone in a flash of light when the alien weapons hit. The calculations are complete, he said. His voice was flat without emotion. The field will work exactly as designed. Show me. Pulled up a holographic display of the galaxy. Thousands of stars glowed in the darkness. The hegemony controlled most of them. 47 star systems, hundreds of planets, billions of alien lives. He pressed a button, and the simulation began. A wave of energy spread out from Earth. It moved faster than light, passing through normal space like a ghost through a wall. Wherever it touched a star, something happened. The star flickered. Then it died. Not exploded. Not collapsed into a black hole. The fusion reaction at its core simply stopped. The star went dark and cold, like a candle blown out by the wind. In the simulation, every star in hegemony space died within 4 hours. Every planet began to freeze. Every ship lost power. 47 billion lives ended in darkness and cold. Watched the simulation 3 times. Her stomach felt sick, but she did not look away. What about our sun? She asked. Our sun is different, smaller, older, different gravitational signature. The field will not affect it. Paused. We made sure of that. The door behind them opened. Director Lee walked into the room. She was the last surviving member of Earth's unified government. Before the invasion, she had been a minor official in the agriculture department. Now she was the leader of what remained of humanity. 6 months ago, her hair had been black. Now it was completely white. She looked 20 years older than she actually was. "Is it ready?" she asked. "Yes," answered. "We can activate it at any time." Walked to the display. She stared at the simulation for a long moment. Her face showed nothing. "Tell me again what this will do." The device creates an anti-resonance field. It targets stars with specific gravitational signatures. When the field reaches those stars, it disrupts the fusion reaction in their cores. The stars stop burning. They die. And everyone on the planets around those stars. Swallowed hard. They will freeze to death, some within hours, some within days, but they will all die. How many? 47 billion hegemony citizens, plus unknown numbers of other species living in their territory. Nodded slowly. 47 billion. The number hung in the air between them. It was too large to really understand. Too many zeros, too many lives. Spoke without looking up from his console. "They killed 3 billion of us. They destroyed our cities. They laughed while they did it. They called us pests." "I know," said. "My daughters were 7 and 9 years old. The youngest one was scared of the dark." His voice cracked slightly. "Now I am going to put 47 billion of them in the dark forever." No one said anything for a long moment. Thought about her own daughter, had been 7 years old too. She had loved drawing pictures and singing songs and asking endless questions about everything. She had been in school when the attack came, had been at work 10 kilometers away. She had seen the flash of light through her office window. She had known in that moment that her daughter was gone. The grief had nearly killed her. Some days she wished it had. But then she had received the call about project and she had found a new reason to keep living. Revenge. "If we do this," said slowly, "we become the monsters they said we were. We prove them right about us." "They were going to kill us anyway," replied. "The hegemony does not let conquered species survive. They use them until they are no longer useful and then they exterminate them. We read their history. We know what they do. So we kill them first." "Yes." Closed her eyes. She stood perfectly still for almost a minute. When she opened her eyes again, something had changed in them, something hard and cold and final. "Activate the weapon." His hand moved to the control panel. She entered her authorization code, entered his, entered the final code. The display showed a countdown, 10 minutes until activation. "God forgive us," whispered. Laughed bitterly. "God has nothing to do with this." Said nothing. She watched the countdown and thought about her daughter's smile. In 10 minutes she would kill 47 billion people, and she would not feel sorry about it. Not even a little. Admiral was sleeping when the alarm woke her. She had not slept properly in days. Her body was exhausted, but her mind would not rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Earth, silent, waiting. She ran to the bridge in her sleeping clothes. Her crew was already there, staring at the sensor displays with expressions of pure terror. "Report," she demanded. Turned to face her. His skin had gone pale. His 4 hands were trembling. "Admiral, we are detecting an energy signature. It is unlike anything in our records." "Show me." The main display came alive with data. A wave of energy was moving through subspace, spreading out from Earth like ripples in water. But this was no ordinary ripple. This was a wall of force that stretched across light years, and it was moving faster than anything had ever seen. "What is it?" she asked. "We do not know. Our sensors cannot identify the energy type. It does not match any known weapon or natural phenomenon." Felt cold. She knew, without understanding how, that this was the answer to Earth's silence. This was what the humans had been building. How long until it reaches hegemony space? Approximately 4 hours. Send a warning. All channels, every frequency, alert everyone. Began transmitting immediately. Watched the wave approach on the display. It was beautiful in a terrible way, a perfect sphere of unknown energy expanding through the darkness of space. Lieutenant Myra, her communications officer, suddenly stood up from her station. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Earth." "What does it say?" "It is addressed to all species of the galactic hegemony. Should I play it?" "Yes." The message appeared on screen, translated into their language by the ship's computer. Read it silently, and with each word her fear grew deeper. "All species of the galactic hegemony. You came to our world uninvited. You killed our children. You burned our cities. You called us pests. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. Now we return the favor. In 4 hours, every star in hegemony space will die. Every world you have claimed will freeze. Every ship will go dark. This is not vengeance. This is extinction. You taught us that the galaxy only respects strength. We learned. Do not come to Earth again. We will not warn you twice." The bridge was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Myra finally broke the silence. "Admiral, is this possible? Can they really kill stars?" "Forward this message to the Council," ordered. "Highest priority. Tell them this is not a drill. Tell them to evacuate everything." "They will not believe it." "Make them believe it." The next 3 hours were the worst of life. She sent message after message to the Council, to the military command, to every authority she could reach. Most of them ignored her. Some of them laughed. Ambassador sent back a one-word reply, "Impossible." But some listened. A few ship captains on the border began moving their vessels away from hegemony space. Several planetary governors started evacuation procedures. It was not enough to save everyone, but it was something. Ordered her own fleet to move as far from the danger zone as possible. Some of her captains questioned the order. She did not have time to explain. She simply told them to obey or be left behind. With 1 hour remaining, the Council finally agreed to take the threat seriously. High Chancellor Ryu appeared on her screen. He was an old male with scales and cold eyes. He had ordered the attack on Earth. He had laughed when the death toll was announced. He was not laughing now. "Admiral," he said, "our scientists have analyzed the energy wave. They cannot stop it. They cannot even slow it down." His voice was shaking. "What do we do?" "Evacuate. Get as many people off the core worlds as possible. Move them to the outer systems, away from hegemony space." "There is not enough time. There are 47 billion citizens. We cannot move them all in 1 hour." "Then move as many as you can." Ryu stared at her through the screen. For the first time since she had known him, he looked afraid, truly afraid. "How did they do this?" he asked. "They are primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. How could they build something like this?" Thought about all the human documents she had studied. Their history of innovation born from desperation. Their ability to create terrible weapons when faced with extinction. Their stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "We hurt them," she said simply. "We killed their children and burned their cities and laughed about it, so they decided to hurt us back. But this is genocide. They are going to kill everyone." "Yes, that is what they intended." Ryu's face twisted with anger. "They are monsters. We made them monsters. We attacked their home. We killed millions of their people. We gave them no choice but to fight back. We could have destroyed them completely. We should have destroyed them completely." "Yes," agreed, "but we did not, and now they are going to destroy us instead." The connection ended. Stood alone on her bridge, watching the countdown timer. 30 minutes until the wave reached the first hegemony star. Myra approached her quietly. "Admiral, what happens now?" "We watch," said. "We witness what we have brought upon ourselves, and if any of us survive, we remember. We remember what happens when you push humans too far." "Do you think anyone will survive?" Looked at the display. The wave was almost at the border now. In 30 minutes the first star would die, then another, then another. 47 systems, billions of lives, all because the hegemony had decided that humans were pests to be controlled. "Some will survive," she said, "but nothing will ever be the same." She sat down in her command chair and waited for the end to begin. Lieutenant Myra would remember this day for the rest of her life. She would tell the story to her children, and she would write it down so that future generations would never forget. The day the stars died. The day the galaxy learned to fear humanity. She stood at her station on Admiral's flagship, watching the sensor displays with tears running down her face. Around her, the entire crew stood in silence. No one sat. No one looked away. They all watched. The first star to die was the sun of Hegemony Prime. It was a yellow giant, larger and brighter than Earth's sun. It had burned for 9 billion years. Civilizations had risen and fallen in its light. Billions of lives depended on its warmth. At exactly 1437 Galactic Standard Time, it flickered. Myra saw it on the sensors before the visual confirmation arrived. The star's energy output dropped suddenly, like a heart stopping mid-beat. For 3 seconds, the readings showed nothing at all. Then the star began to dim. It did not explode. It did not collapse. The light simply faded, like a candle flame dying in the wind. Within 10 minutes, the great yellow sun was nothing but a dark sphere hanging in space. The recordings from orbital stations around Hegemony Prime showed what happened next. The stations had automatic cameras that continued transmitting even as their crews died. First, the sky changed. The bright yellow light turned orange, then red, then a deep purple. Then darkness came. Not the darkness of night, which still had stars and moons. This was total darkness. The kind of darkness that existed before the universe was born. The temperature began to drop immediately. On the day side of the planet, it fell from comfortable warmth to freezing cold in less than an hour. The oceans began to freeze from the surface down. The atmosphere itself started to crystallize, falling as snow made of frozen air. The last transmission from the planet showed a single figure standing on a balcony, looking up at the black sky. It was a child, maybe 10 years old, wrapped in blankets that would not keep her warm for long. She was crying and calling for her mother. Then the transmission ended. Myra wiped her eyes, but the tears kept coming. She had hated the hegemony. They were cruel and arrogant and had killed millions of humans without mercy. But this child had done nothing wrong. This child was innocent. And she was dead now, frozen in the darkness, one of 47 billion. The next star died 12 minutes later, then another, then another. The wave moved through hegemony space like death itself, touching each star and watching it fade. Some systems had more time than others, depending on their distance from Earth, but they all died eventually. Admiral stood in the center of the bridge, her face showing no emotion, but Myra could see her hands. They were clenched so tight that her claws had cut into her palms. Blue blood dripped onto the floor. "Admiral," Myra said softly, "High Chancellor Ryu is requesting communication." "Put him through." Ryu appeared on the screen. He was no longer on Hegemony Prime. He had evacuated to a ship in orbit trying to escape the dying system, but his ship was losing power too. The wave affected everything in hegemony space, not just the stars. His face was twisted with terror. All his arrogance was gone, all his pride. He was just an old man watching his empire die. "Please," he begged, "we surrender. We will give you anything. We will leave humanity alone forever. We will pay whatever price you ask. Please just make it stop." Said nothing. "I am sorry," Ryu continued, his voice breaking. "I am sorry for what we did to your people. I am sorry for the attack. I am sorry for everything. Please have mercy, please." The transmission cut to static. Ryu's ship had lost power. He would freeze to death in the darkness, alone and afraid, just like the billions of citizens he had ruled. approached the Admiral. His voice was barely a whisper. How could they do this? I thought humans were supposed to be kind. Their culture talks about love and compassion and protecting the innocent. How could they kill so many? Finally spoke. Her voice was heavy with exhaustion and grief. I studied their history for 40 years. I read about their wars and their heroes and their monsters. I learned one important truth about humanity. What truth? They are capable of great kindness. They will help strangers and feed the hungry and sacrifice themselves to save others. But they are also capable of great cruelty. When you hurt them, when you threaten what they love, they become something else entirely, something terrible. She gestured at the display, where stars continued to die one by one. The hegemony killed 3 billion humans. They destroyed cities and murdered children and laughed about it. They called humans pests. They treated them like animals. She shook her head slowly. This is what happens when you push humanity to the edge. They do not stop at winning. They do not stop at revenge. They make sure you can never threaten them again. Ever. Myra looked at the display. Another star was dying now. Another billion lives ending in cold and darkness. What do we do now? She asked. We survive, said. We gather the refugees from the border systems. We build a new home far from hegemony space. And we never, ever forget what we witnessed today. And the humans. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. We leave them alone. We do not contact them. We do not approach them. We do not even look in their direction. She turned to face her crew. Tell everyone who survives. Tell every species in the galaxy. The humans are not to be touched. Not now, not ever. They are monsters, someone whispered. No, replied. They are humans, and that is far more frightening. On the display, another star flickered and died, and another, and another. The killing continued for 4 more hours, until every light in hegemony space had gone dark. 1 year had passed since the stars died. Admiral stood on the bridge of her ship, looking at the navigation display. Earth appeared as a blue dot on the screen, surrounded by warning markers that her computer had automatically placed there. Do not approach. Extreme danger. Threat level absolute. She was going to approach anyway. The refugee coalition had formed in the months after the extinction. Survivors from the hegemony border worlds had gathered together, building a new society from the ruins of the old. They had lost everything. Their homes, their families, their entire way of life, but they had survived, and survival was enough. Had become their leader, not because she wanted the position, but because no one else would take it. She spent her days helping refugees find food and shelter. She spent her nights wondering if she could have done something to prevent the disaster. The answer was always the same. No, the hegemony had been too arrogant to listen. They had believed they were invincible. They had learned the truth too late. Now needed answers. She needed to understand why the humans had done what they did. She needed to see their faces and hear their voices and know that they were still human, despite the horror they had created. She had sent a request to Earth 3 weeks ago. 1 ship, 1 passenger, a meeting to discuss the future. The response had come yesterday. A single set of coordinates and a simple message, come alone. Her ship landed on the coast of what humans called Korea. The city before her was called. 1 year ago, it had been a ruin, destroyed by the hegemony attack. Now it was rebuilt. Clean streets and tall buildings and parks filled with green trees. Children played on the grass while their parents watched. It looked peaceful. It looked normal. It looked like nothing terrible had ever happened here. A human woman was waiting at the landing site. She was small by standards, with black hair streaked with and eyes that carried a heavy weight. She wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. Admiral, the woman said, I am Dr. Park. I built the weapon that killed your people. Had expected anger when she heard those words. She had expected hatred. Instead, she felt only a deep sadness. Why did you agree to meet me? Asked. Because you deserve answers, because you tried to warn them, I read the records, you tried to save people. Turned and began walking toward the city. Come with me. There is something I want to show you. They walked through the streets in silence. Humans passed them without staring. Some nodded politely at. A few children pointed at with curiosity rather than fear. They had never seen an alien before. Led her to a wall. It stretched for kilometers, curving through the city like a long river. Every centimeter of its surface was covered in names. Millions of names. Billions of names. This is the memorial, said. Every human who died in the attack is listed here. 3 billion names. Stared at the wall. The names went on forever, too many to count, too many to comprehend. My daughter is here, continued. She touched one small section of the wall. Park. She was 7 years old. She liked to draw pictures of cats. She wanted to be a scientist like me when she grew up. Said nothing. What could she say? Your hegemony killed her because they thought we were pests, because we were loud and annoying and expanding too fast. They did not warn us. They did not ask us to stop. They simply attacked. His voice remained calm, but her eyes were wet. So we became quiet. We stopped broadcasting. We stopped communicating. And we built something that would make sure no one could ever do this to us again. 47 billion people, whispered. Yes, 47 billion. There was no pride in his voice, no satisfaction, only exhaustion. I do not feel guilty about it. I should, but I do not. They were going to kill all of us eventually. The hegemony does not let conquered species survive. We simply killed them first. Looked at the scientist. She tried to see a monster. She tried to see the face of someone who had committed the greatest massacre in galactic history. But all she saw was a tired woman who had lost her daughter and decided the universe should pay for it. What do you want from us? Asked. From the survivors. Nothing. Live your lives, build your worlds, we will not bother you. Began walking again, leading away from the memorial. But you need to tell the others, every species in the galaxy. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what we did and why we did it. What message should I deliver? Stopped and turned to face her. Tell them that humans want peace. We are tired of fighting. We want to trade and share knowledge and explore the universe together. We will help anyone who asks for help. We will give freely to those in need. She paused and her eyes grew cold. But tell them also that we remember. We remember what happened to our children. We remember the silence when our cities burned. And if anyone threatens Earth again, if anyone kills our people and laughs about it, we will do exactly what we did to the hegemony. Without warning, without mercy, without regret. Felt a chill run through her body. You would do it again. We would do worse, smiled, but there was no warmth in it. The weapon we used on the hegemony was version 1. Our scientists are already working on version 2. It will be more powerful, more precise, more terrible. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand, because the galaxy needs to understand. Looked up at the sky, at the stars that were still shining. We are not monsters. We are parents who lost our children. We are survivors who refuse to be victims. We are humans. She looked back at. When Earth goes quiet again, run. Tell everyone to run, because it will mean we are building something new. And this time we will not send warnings. They stood in silence for a long moment. Then bowed her head, a gesture of respect that she had learned from human culture. I understand, she said. I will deliver your message. Good, turned and began walking back toward the city. Safe travels, Admiral. I hope we never meet again. Watched her go. Then she returned to her ship and left Earth behind. The blue planet grew smaller in her display until it was just a dot again, surrounded by warning markers. She thought about the message she would deliver, the message that would change the galaxy forever. Humans are kind. Humans are generous. Humans will give you the stars if you ask nicely. But never make them go quiet. Because when humans stop talking, they start building. and what they build will end everything you have ever known. This was the lesson of the dying stars. This was the truth that the galaxy would never forget.